Then another question I have, and then those of you that have LLCs and S corporation tax returns are due March 15th, not April 15th. So a call I get quite often is March 30th. Someone calls me, wants an extension for a tax return and says, oh yeah, my wife and I created 3 LLCs this year. I need those extended. I'm already past the extension date. There's nothing I can do. We will file the return. You will get a tax notice on there. There will be a penalty. I will write a letter. You will get out of the letter. It's going to be about a 6 to 9 month process. The IRS is slow. It was 6 to 9 months a year ago before COVID. Right now, I have letters that I'm still dealing with from the summertime to get those waived that they haven't even opened yet. I do have a few clients that have called on their own after about 4 hours got through and actually got it waived, and it's not a big deal. The client that owed $800 and got it waived, that's fine. I have another client that him and his 4 kids and his wife got into it. The penalty is $200 per month per partner if you don't file the extension. So when we file by September 15th, you get this nasty letter that says you owe $6,000 that I generally tell you about. You're not, it's nothing I did, and I'll generally get you out of the first one. But it's just a big shock when you get that. So any of you, when you do create a new LLC or S Corp, whether you work with me or your other tax advisor, let them know so that they can have it on their list of companies to extend. Single members don't have to be extended, but let them know. Don't go to them April 1st and tell them you need an extension for stuff that was due March 15th. I throw that out there, not to insult anybody, but I hear that all the time, and it's not a big deal. But when you get that big IRS letter and the intent to levy, those are nasty letters, and can they give you that uneasy stomach feeling? So somebody had a question, if I have a builder's license, can I charge my own rehab labor costs? I think the question is effectively, I'm doing a rehab and I would hire somebody for $10,000, but can I charge my rehab $10,000? You can use your sweat equity to do your flip, but unless you're charging your flip entity $10,000 and recognizing it on your building entity, that's really just sweat equity. So if you do the work on a deal, could you have a building company that could you have a building company that is doing the construction for deals that myself and let's say Vale owns? We both are partners in investing on a deal, but I also have a construction company. I should be entitled to charge a profit. The key to a good partnership, I would want to discuss the profit I'm charging with my partner, though. I mean, the better you can work, especially if you have partners. Then somebody was saying materials used in sweat equity being tax deductible. Well, if they're materials you purchased, they would be tax deductible. If it's that I'm tearing off part of my house and I'm renovating my house and I've got some leftover bathtubs and some leftover cabinets and I'm going to go put them in my flip or my rental, they're effectively not going to have any basis to me because my house has its basis, and you can get into all these basis adjustments, but effectively they would not have basis to add value to my rental. If I just took cabinets out of, or I had cabinets that I find from my parents are renovating their kitchen, I take their cabinets and put them in my rental property. I don't get like a step up in that because I didn't buy them. So generally, effectively, it'll increase my value, but it won't um, give me any additional depreciation. Um, so then somebody said that they do LLC's income as pass through, I think Schedule C. Um, and I would not necessarily say that it's not advised because, again, the individual asking the question, are there medical savings accounts, health, retirement plans? Schedule C income opens up opportunities for other retirement plans. So, I mean, purely on the standpoint of self-employment tax, there might be other strategies. On a standpoint of maximizing your profit, maximizing retirement savings, there's other strategies, and it starts to get, it's depending on factors. And are we making $10,000, 100,000, or 400,000? Those run into different areas, and somebody making 400,000 on a Schedule C might be taking full advantage of a solo 401k or a SUP, and putting in upwards of $50,000 into those plans. Somebody on a S Corp might only be eligible for a 19,500 401k plan. So again, it depends what's out there and the longer term, what other strategies are there. So, I mean, on one answer, it might cost, but is there IRAs that I want to maximize dollars there? So, um, um, yes and no. um, then, but another question here. Um, what tips would give people from short term? Okay, so so the question was, what tips would I give people for short-term rentals? And short-term rentals are, there's a lot of issues open with the IRS right now on the short-term rentals. If I own a property and it's being rented on an Airbnb, I'm going to say that that's a rental activity and look at it that way. We're also seeing a lot of operators that are effectively renting from a real estate investor. I'm the host on the Airbnb side, and I'm marketing that um, out to the Airbnb world. So I'm gonna take a real estate investor, get their deal under contract for a year, pay them maybe a premium rent. I'm gonna fix it up, clean it, and I'm gonna market that. And that's more of what's called like a host. I may not even own the real estate. I might just be arbitraging it between myself and somebody else. And that's really new territory. I think of that still as rental, and there hasn't been anything that I've seen yet come through. But the problem with that, and I can see they're going to tighten this up, they're really pushing, you're not a real estate investor at all. You're in the active business just like a hotel operator, and really that income should be on your Schedule C, not your Schedule E, subject to self-employment and ordinary income tax rate. So again, it's really developing with the Airbnb market, and the guy that owns the Airbnb and hires somebody or rents it to the host who's doing the Airbnb. Those are going to be in different positions, I think, when it's all said and done. I mean, no different than someone who owns the Marriott hotel and the actual operator. He might own real estate, but he's in the business of renting rooms and hospitality. He's got a restaurant, he's providing services, and he's cleaning the rooms. That's more of a business venture. He's got employees. there's a lot out there. Depending on, if someone told me they had 100 Airbnbs, we'd really want to look closely. Are they a Schedule C business, and look at everything? If someone's got a couple, it's really going to be how they're operated. Do they own them and stuff? But definitely, I think things are going to change over the next year or so. I mean, we're going to see something. But then again, the IRS just came out with regulations on what determined real property on 1031 exchanges from the 2017 tax cuts, and they just had their final regulations a few weeks ago. So it took them um, almost 4 years to come up with regulations on that. There's a lot of things that haven't been finalized. So hopefully we'll get better guidance, but I don't really have an answer on which line that would go on. It'd be more of a case by case and working with my client. Um, any other questions? I think if anybody wants to send into the chat or chime in, I know looks like we're actually at 8:53. Appreciate everybody's time. I will be sending out everything to everybody, and I can send out the presentation and also the chat, and hope that helped. If anybody has any questions, again, feel free to reach out. Send any questions you have to tax@reitaxcpa.com. And again, everything I said is more in general nature. Hope it helps. And if your case is a little bit different, it might be worth exploring. Does that case apply to you? But appreciate everyone and your time this evening. Thank you. I'm gonna save and then I'll keep everyone posted if I do this again, or if anybody has any topics that like to go over. I know some people talked about possibly bookkeeping, or maybe something a little bit more. And so anybody that's interested, here's the ways to contact me. I do offer this will actually take you to a link to my calendar, so we